Hey everybody, welcome to Eats and Digs, channel all about food and gardening. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make a super simple kale chip recipe. And I'm going to be using this beautiful scarlet kale. It's a purple variety, and you can use any kale that you want. So you could use the red Russian, or like the dazzling blue kale, or even the dinosaur kale. But for today's episode, I'm going to use this scarlet kale. I think it looks really cool, and I think it'll make a really awesome kale chip. So let's harvest some of this, get inside, and I'll show you how to make this super simple recipe. Here I am back in the kitchen. I've got my kale here that I washed off, and I've been letting it sit for a little while to dry. I also patted it dry with a paper towel. And the only things you need for this recipe is olive oil, salt, and pepper. That's it. But I'm also going to add a little bit of garlic and a little bit of lime. I really like to add the garlic and lime. I think it brings out a lot more flavor. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just use salt, pepper, and olive oil and it'll turn out great. But I think the garlic and the lime really add an extra zesty kick to it. It's my favorite recipe that I've done so far. Some people also add other things that you can add, like Italian seasoning to it, or seasoning salt, or any kind of seasoning that you like. Play around with it and you might find something that you really like better than this. But for this recipe, I'm just using salt, pepper, garlic, lime, and that's it. Just take your pieces of kale and you want to break them into about, a tortilla chip size, maybe slightly bigger because they will shrink up a little bit. And if they're a little smaller, that's fine too. But I like to get mine about that size. And once you got everything broken up, I'm putting it into the bowl. Then we'll add our olive oil, mix it up, and then add the salt, pepper, garlic, lime. I've got my kale chips into pieces, and now it's ready to season up. So I'm just putting a coat of olive oil on here, mixing it up. You don't want to put too much olive oil, just enough to get everything coated so that the seasoning sticks to it really nicely. You could use a different type of oil, like avocado oil or something like that. If you didn't have olive oil, that would work as well. But I like to use olive oil. Everything's nice and coated now with the olive oil. I'm going to add the lime. Mix that in. You could also use lemon as well. I just didn't have lemon this time. I've used lemon in the past, it works really great, so I'm gonna try the lime this time. I guess you could use any other kind of citrus if you wanted to try that out as well, like orange or tangerine or something like that. But I think the lemon for me has worked the best so far, but I think the lime's gonna work really great too. Now I'm just gonna add my salt, pepper, and garlic. Mix that all up. And it'll be ready to put on the tray and get into the oven. There's no exact measurement on how much salt and pepper and garlic that I put in here. I just kind of get it all nice and coated. Kind of depends on how much you have in your bowl, how much you're working with. And if you like more salt, add more salt. If you like more pepper, add more pepper. Same thing with the garlic or any other spices that you want on here. Once you do it a few times, you'll get a good idea of the taste that you really like on it and how much to add of each spice. Seasonings are in. Just gonna mix it all together, get everything nice and coated with all the seasoning. Everything's seasoned up nicely. Now, you just need a cookie tray or any kind of baking tray with some parchment paper on it. And you want to lay your chips out to where they're not really on top of each other. If they overlap a little bit, it's no big deal, but you don't want to like pile them on because they won't cook correctly. You'll have ones that don't crisp up very good. And they will shrink up a little bit. So like I said, you can put them a little bit overlapping. Just don't keep them on there. And once you got your chips all laid out on the cookie sheet, then we're going to take it over to the oven. I've preheated my oven to 300 degrees. I'm going to put them in for about 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, then I'm going to take them out, flip them over, and put them back in for about another 10 to 15 minutes until they're done. It's been about 15 minutes. We're gonna take these kale chips out and give them a flip, and then put them back in for another 10 to 15 minutes, keeping an eye on them because we definitely don't want to get them burned. And after about 10 or 15 more minutes in the oven, once they're flipped, they should be done. You can already see they're a little bit crispy, but still fairly wet. So you just want to get them all dried out and nice and crispy. The last 10 to 15 minutes, I always keep an eye on them because I don't want them to burn. It's very easy for them to get burnt if you even let them go an extra couple minutes longer than they should. They're all flipped over. Now back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. It's been another 15 minutes. I've checked the kale chips a couple of times during those 15 minutes to make sure that they're nice and crispy but not getting burnt. I think they're done now, so let's take them out, give them a taste test. Right, here they are. Definitely not burnt. And they're nice and crispy. That's what we're looking for. So let's give one a try, see how it tastes. Really good. That lime worked out really good. I love the garlic flavor on there. Salt and pepper. So simple, so easy. Only takes about 30-40 minutes from start to finish. And they turn out great every time I've done them this way. I hope you enjoyed this episode of how to make quick and easy kale chips. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below for our future up and coming episodes. I'm Josiah True with Eats and Digs. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.